guys, it's Gus. Today we're going to be going over some more tips and tricks and modifications on the SMT10. Last time I forgot to say that I put the SSD universal axles in the front. That was the only other thing I had, but I completely forgot about that. What I'm going to be doing today is taking this 9mm aluminum tubing, you can see it's pretty thick, and making my own beef tubes out of it. I don't like to add weight to the axles because more unsprung weight you get, and that makes it bounce when you jump. So I like to keep my axles as light as I can. And there's two ways to do it. The one I'm going to do it today is the shorter tube version. To do the longer tube version, you actually have to machine about 1/2 millimeter off of about 1 inch of it, so that way it slides all the way to the bearing. But I've never actually broken an axle housing, so today what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you how I make my stub. It goes through about 3/4 of the axle, and it's up to that center brace. Usually if it does break, it breaks either right on the end or right next to that brace, and I've never broken one. I already did the front, so I'm going to show you guys the back. I'm going to be changing the rear steer. That's going to be changing to rear steer, which is going to be in my next video. And also, I will be doing next week, I'll be doing a review and unboxing on the new Red Cat Kaiju. So if you want to see that, make sure to subscribe, and that way you won't miss that. So the first thing you got to do is pull your housing apart. I take all the parts out of there, and then you take your aluminum tubing, which is like I said before, it's a 9mm OD 6mm inside. You stick it down in there as far as it'll go, and it'll only go so far. There's a ridge in there, so you can't get it to go all the way to the bearing. And when you do that, you stick it in there, you can see that it actually marks where you need to cut it off. So you could do it a couple different ways. You could put it in and then mark your holes here for your link screws, link mount screws, and also your holes here for the C-hubs or lockouts, depending on what setup you got. I wasn't going to do the back, but I decided to do the back because I am going to make this thing 4-wheel steer. Okay, and if you look in there, the tube, kind of hard to see, but the tube actually doesn't go all the way across, so you can't drill it through. So what I do is I use a marker to mark where those screws need to go through, and then what you do is you use a Dremel and you just cut a slot in the side of the tube where the screws go through. You can then drill these out right away, so those are in the right position. And then also this one here for the brace, you have to drill that one also. And then once you get those drilled, you can pull it apart, do your Dremel work here, and also cut the end off. And then you just got to stick it back in, and one side's done. As you can see here, I just used a drill and lightly tapped the thing to mark the link mount holes. The reason I do that is when you pull it back out, it fits in there really tight. You actually got to pound it in there a little bit. I mean, it's not horrible, so you can get it back out with a pair of pliers, but it when it comes out, it wipes the marker off. So I just used a drill and very carefully marked where they need to go, because if you get too crazy with it, you'll wear away at the housing. Then I drilled the hole for the brace mount, and the holes for here's the hole for the brace mount, and these are the holes for the C-hub. I don't even use a tap for these. I just use a little bit of oil, and I take a screw that has a 2.5mm hex, and then I just run it in back and forth, and it makes the threads real good in aluminum that way. So next up, I'm going to do some notching on here and cut it off to length. Okay, the next thing I do is, you can see here where my mark is to cut that off. What I do is I put it in my drill, I run the drill, and then I use my Dremel with the cutting wheel on it here, and I put it just on the other side of the mark there, and then you get a real nice square cut on that. You have it. Got my holes tapped in there, and make sure you run a file through the inside to knock all the burrs off, otherwise the axle will catch when you put it all back together, but that's all there is to it. The other side is actually easier because it's just just a short little piece, and it pretty much looks just like that. So you just got to put it in there, drill your holes, turn it around a little bit to mark it, and then put it back in. And there we go. I got the short side done. Now I just got to put her back together, and we'll be good to go. The main reason you do this is because I don't know if any of you guys had it done, but the plastic strips out almost right away on these things, especially with those stock these little horrible screws they use. They don't stay in, they strip out. So I put these in, and then I use a regular machine screw like that, so it bites better. Then with the aluminum you can use some Loctite, and then you won't have any more issues with it. And there you have it. We got it all put back together. For now, I just put the lockouts back on because I don't have the parts for the four-wheel steer yet. And my new tire should be here today, so I want to take her out for a drive, so it's going to go back together the way it is. Another thing I wanted to mention that I forgot before is the screws in here that hold the diff in. There's little diff covers in there. I always replace those to machine screws also. They use those little wood screw looking things in their stock, and they strip out. I've had them come loose, go through the diff. They're just not very good. So if you ever take it apart, make sure you put some machine screws in there instead of what's in their stock. And that's all I got for you guys today. Stay tuned. I will do a video on putting the four-wheel steer on, and also coming up I have a unboxing and review, which should be next week, of the new Red Cat Kaiju. And I'm pretty excited about that one. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later.